is Wendy. Welcome to my channel. I am the concierge. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background and what we're going to be doing here. The first thing that you need to know is that I'm somebody who's been to prison before. I spent about 13 months in a federal county holding facility in Omaha, Nebraska. I spent another 3 months in a federal holding facility under contract in Leavenworth, Kansas. Spent about 3 weeks in the Federal Transfer Center in Oklahoma City, and then another 2 years on top of that at the Federal Prison Camp in Danbury, Connecticut. Not only do I have my own personal experience, but I have a lot of experience talking and working and networking with other people who have been in federal prisons, so I do know how this goes. And I have resources for information for anything that I don't happen to know. What I specialize in is teaching people both how to go to prison and how to get out of prison and how to do life once you're out. So, first of all, just to start with me, I was convicted in October of 2018 for conspiracy to manufacture and distribute a substance containing a detectable amount of carfentanil, which is exactly what it sounds like, a very nasty charge. Like many Americans, I had an opiate addiction, and it spiraled out of control and ended very badly, as you can tell. And I am very proud to say that I have been clean and sober for almost 4 years now, never going back to being owned again by a substance. Sorry, nope, not my style. And now part of my way of making amends is to help people each and every day to avoid the same kind of pitfalls that I did that led me to that life, and also help their families put back together the pieces when things have gone wrong. Okay, so that's how I got here. So let's talk first of all about what happens when you are getting ready to leave prison, or when your loved one is getting ready to come home from prison. That's what this very first episode is going to be about. One of the reasons that it's going to be about that is because I've had a whole lot of questions lately about how to do the whole getting out of prison thing. Just for a little bit of my personal background on that, so that, you feel that maybe I'm somebody who actually has experienced this and therefore might relate to what you're going through. I was released from prison on December 14th, 2020. I was released because of the CARES Act due to COVID. I spent just over 3 years locked up total. I was released very early into my sentence, even though I'd been locked up for 3 years. I was released very early in my sentence, in part because our prison had a lawsuit that sued to get us released based on medical vulnerability and not just on how much time we had done. And I was also released under that criteria because I had been an absolute model stand-up citizen the entire time that I was locked up. I never got in trouble for anything more serious than I think I got in trouble one time because my t-shirt was ripped or some nonsense like that, nothing real. I wasn't part of the smoking crowd. I wasn't part of the importation of drinks and, soap and candy crowd. That wasn't my game. Got nothing against that. We all do what we got to do to enjoy our time in prison. I'm just saying that because I never got caught doing any of that, that worked very well in my favor when it came to letting people out. So when you get to prison, there may be kind of a temptation to say, fuck it, I'm going to do whatever I want to enjoy my time here. And there's legitimacy to that a little bit, but what I'm saying is be careful, because when it comes to programs like the CARES Act, and you never know when one's going to come along, because I sure the hell never thought COVID was going to come and rescue my backside, right? Well, when those programs come along, they're not picking people with shot lists a mile long, all right? You need to have a clean record. You need to be somebody that the staff there at least thinks is on their A game and behaving properly and knows how to act right. Because if they don't think you know how to act right, they're not going to be putting you on the list to go home. It's just not going to happen. And let me be clear, even if you do act right, they're still probably going to find a reason not to let you go home, okay? Believe me, if there's anything that corrections facilities can do, it's find a reason to keep you longer. Don't give them that reason. Behave yourself, or at least be good at it. Right? Right. Okay. So let's say that it's time for your loved one to come home. You've been fighting through all kinds of paperwork to get them out on home confinement. Maybe, it's actually finally time for them to be released. For whatever reason, your loved one is coming home, or you as an inmate are coming home if you as an inmate are watching this now. If you inmates are watching this, props to you. Love you very much. Okay? So, if they're coming home, there's some things that you need to know. And I'm going to speak from the federal prison perspective right now, and not the state prison perspective right now, although many of it overlaps. Okay? So, I left prison December of 2020, right? Since then, I've moved into a sober living house. It's not an agency type house. It's just like a house with a bunch of roommates and stuff, and we all agree that we're going to be sober. It's just like living in a regular house. I have my own room. I don't share my stuff with nobody. It's not any of that prison type nonsense anymore. No way. I don't have like some house manager coming in to see how I'm doing. I'm just expected to be a responsible adult with all my fellow housemates like anybody is, right? Right. Okay. So, when it comes time for you to get out, let's start with first, if there's people on the outside waiting for you and they say, yeah, yo, come stay at our house. We got you. This is the ideal situation, okay? Because if you don't have people on the outside waiting for you, you're going to have to go to a halfway house. This is really not fun, okay? So let's start with the idea that you get somebody on the outside waiting for you. And it's probably those people waiting for you that are watching this right now. And if you're somebody who's got an open house for a loved one who's about to come home, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because you are the people that we are ever so grateful to have in our lives, because it makes things so much easier if you can just get out and have somebody there waiting for you. Okay, so if that's going to happen, the first people that are going to come see you are probably, depends, if you're going to have a relocation, well, okay, let me back up a little bit here. Let's imagine that you're somebody who caught their case out of like Georgia, for example. But you don't actually live in Georgia. You live in South Carolina, or maybe you live in New York. Or maybe while you were locked up, your family looked around and said, oh no, we don't want all this notoriety. We're going to go and start over again in Texas. For some reason, Texas seems to be a place that a lot of people want to go start over. And I'm like, but whatever. You go with that. Okay, so the first thing that's going to happen in that case is that probation is going to come and check out your house to see if this is an acceptable place for them to go to and approve the relocation there. They're going to come and they're going to make sure that either there's no guns in the house, or if there are guns, that they're locked in a gun safe that the returning inmate cannot have any access to. So don't be like one of my friends was, where, her homie said that, yeah, you can come stay at my house, Janie. And then the homies, waiting for probation to come over. Probation comes over, and there's a whole shotgun just sitting right on the coffee table because he just got home from hunting or whatever. Okay, listen, you may live the rural life, and I feel you on this. I'm a farm girl. I grew up in Nebraska, like 15 miles to this day from the nearest ATM. I completely feel you on this. U.S. probation doesn't, okay? You need to make sure that all the guns and stuff are put away. If most returning citizens also are allowed to have alcohol, and they are certainly not allowed to have medical marijuana, okay? I don't care if it's legal in your state, and again, U.S. probation does not care either, okay? So you cannot have any of that laying around the house at all. If you've got alcohol in your fridge, and the homeowner as a typical adult is allowed to drink alcohol, okay, that's great. But it's one more thing for probation to wonder about, so you probably shouldn't have it there. It just makes life a lot easier, especially if the person coming home is coming home on a drug charge, all right? Because anybody who's in on a drug charge, guarantee you, isn't going to be allowed to drink when they get out on probation. Some people who are in on white-collar crimes, money crimes, some of them are allowed to drink because that had nothing to do with their offense. Some of them aren't. So, you know, just use your thoughts about it, all right? You want to have the house cleaned up. They don't like it looking like a hoarder situation. I know somebody who wasn't allowed to go home to her own home because while she was gone, her family had allowed it to turn into quite a hoarding situation. So she had to initially be released to the halfway house, take her time to go to her home, clean it up, put it in working condition, and then get released to her home, okay? If you want to go straight home to your home, you're going to have to make sure that it's in proper condition. Your family's going to have to make sure it's in proper condition. You're not going to want to have, like, large, scary dogs there. If you've got large, scary dogs there, make sure they're under control, very well behaved, you know. Down. Don't let your dog jump on the probation officer. It's not a good idea. No. Also, if you're going to have a situation where you've got, like, a lot of, let's say, adult stuff around, maybe let's say some erotic pictures, erotic toys, all right? Let's put that away, especially if this is a woman returning home, okay? The fact is, a lot of women who get themselves into legal trouble have issues with, let's say, sexual boundaries as well. Let's say sometimes we get ourselves involved with men who maybe treat us a little bit exploitatively due to our sexuality. And sometimes we have some problems with exploiting our own sexuality in somewhat of a manipulative manner because, hey, girls got to eat, right? Yeah, probation officers are very keen to that. They're very keen on over-sexualization, and they really don't like it. Some of it can be downright a bit slut-shamey and misogynistic, in my humble opinion. But my humble opinion doesn't matter. The probation officer's opinion does. So put away the adult sexual toys and stuff like that. You want to have like white bread and cookies, Martha Stewart lifestyle going on here, okay? You don't want to be looking like you could convert into a bordello. You do not want your bedroom to look like when you get home you're going to go straight up to hooking up on an OnlyFans page. That is not the look you want to be showing. That will get the probation officer all up in your business in a way that you don't want them to be. It's not a good look, okay? So that's up there first of all. Okay, so this is what happens when the probation officer is coming. Now, when the probation officer comes, and the halfway house people often come too if you're coming on home confinement, because right now the halfway house people are supervising the returning citizens on home confinement, okay? So you're probably going to have 2 visits happen. When they come, they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. These questions are going to be very, sometimes a lot of people have described them as almost hostile. Like they're trying to talk you out of bringing your loved one home, okay? They may ask you things like, are you aware that they can't leave the house? That they may not be allowed to work? That there won't be any financial contribution for you? That you can't move from this home for the entire 2 or 3 years, however long they're going to be on home confinement? Do you have any concerns whatsoever about them being here? Okay, if you don't say no to that question, they will write denial. Like, if you have even the remotest concern, even if you say, like, well, I'm a little worried that, I'm not going to be able to set up this furniture that I bought for them, time for them to go, denial. That's done. Out of here. If you say anything like, well, I'm worried that she may not be able to stay sober when she gets out because, being sober in prison is one thing, being sober outside is another. I disagree with that, but that's another video. Okay. So if you say anything like that, if you say anything other than, I can't wait for my person to get home, it is going to be lit. I am going to be so happy. I have no concerns whatsoever. I'm so excited. they can be here forever and ever and ever. If you say anything other than that or act any other way, it can be a risk and they can deny it. A denial is a big deal, honestly. I know somebody who committed their crimes out of New Hampshire. All their family is in Boston. Okay, the New Hampshire halfway house in Manchester. Boston's like an hour away. It's not that big of a deal, except for the fact that the whole time that you're on home confinement and probation, you need to ask permission to leave the state. And I haven't tried it yet personally. I live in a, close to the borders area too, being in New Haven, Connecticut. But I'm pretty sure that the home confinement supervisors aren't real jazzed when you say, like, oh yeah, I want to go to a whole different state, for the day to, like, go see my doctor, go see my family, whatever. That's a whole line of problems that you do not want to have, okay? And plus, you get released to this halfway house that's not your home, it's not near your family, it's not near your people, it's not near your support, right? What are you supposed to do? Get a whole job, a house, a car, and a life in a completely different place? Now, sometimes, don't get me wrong, that can be a good thing, right? Right? Sometimes you need to get away from the people, places, and things that got you into this position to begin with. Sometimes that's good. But if you're trying to come home to your kids, to your mom, it's not a good situation. And honestly, even if it's your husband or your boyfriend you're coming home to, if those probation officers or halfway house case managers don't like the look of your house or the way your loved one says, yeah, I want my girl home, they don't necessarily have to approve it. So just be really careful. Be on your A game when this happens. Make it happen. Know that this is serious business and it's problematic. Part of the reason that it's so problematic right now is that when the returning citizens go to the halfway houses, okay, let's say that you get out to the halfway house, because a lot of us were told, you know what, just fuck it. Get out to the halfway house, transfer once you're out. It's not a big deal. You can relocate once you're out. Okay, don't listen to that lie. That is a lie. They are not approving any relocations right now because COVID. Or at least that's what the signs say in a whole bunch of the halfway houses. There's probably somebody out there who's gotten a transfer relocation to go through. I don't know them. If you know them, hit me up. Okay, let me know. My email and everything is down in the links below this, all right? Tell me about it because I'm dying to hear about it. And our shared experiences all help one another. So please, let me know. But from what I've been told, everybody who's been asking for a relo from the halfway houses has basically been told to go fuck themselves. They don't care. And I'm talking even just from one house to another, okay? I have one friend who, her lease was ending on her apartment. Her brother was moving to a whole new state, She couldn't stay in that apartment anymore. She didn't have anywhere to go, so she rented a different apartment that was in her price range and her budget. Great. That's responsible. That's what you're supposed to do. Now, keep in mind, this apartment was in the same freaking city. It's not like she was asking to get transferred to a different halfway house, different state, different office, or anything like that. This is just a freaking move. It came down to the wire for the moving day. She's asking them every single day, hello, are you going to approve my relocation? Are you going to approve my relocation? And they're like, well, you can just go back to prison if you don't want to stay in the same place anymore. She's like, come on, I got out because I have health issues. I have COPD, I have asthma, I have diabetes, I have, gangrene in my leg, I have gout, I'm on a CPAP machine, on a nebulizer, and you want me to go back to prison with COVID? Because you don't want to approve some simple paperwork for me to move 3-4 blocks? Are you fucking serious right now? Yeah, they are. They don't want to do any work they don't have to do. All right? So every single day she asked them, finally, literally as they're moving up the moving van, they said, okay, fine, you can move. Okay? This is a thing. Be careful. All right? Do not count on a relocation being approved when you leave. Not going to happen. Not likely to anyway. All right? So just be careful. I actually do know someone else who got their judge to order a relocation because they were told when they were leaving, just sign up the home confinement for your mom's house. You can relocate when you're out. Well, that's great. So their mom was in New York, and all of their business was in North Carolina. Like their family, their husband, their kids, their driver's license, all, their job opportunities, everything was in North Carolina. And they're like, well, you should have signed up for home confinement there. They couldn't because their family had just moved there and were still scouting a house, okay? They didn't even know this home confinement thing was going to come up, all right? So they're out at mom's, and the probation wasn't being that bad about it, actually. Probation are usually fairly civilized, reasonable human beings. But the halfway house people were just like, no, you should have thought of that before. Whatever, like, life happens, come on. So finally, her judge said, no, I'm ordering that she be serving her home confinement at this address in North Carolina. Oh, booyah, there you go. So that's how she finally got moved. You don't want to go through all that, okay? So try to get them to do your relocation papers while you're still inside if you need a relocation, okay? If you're wondering if you need a relocation, again, go ahead and hit me up and I can help you out with that. The short answer is if you performed your crime, you were sentenced to your crime in a different district to the home where you intend to be released to, yeah, you're going to need a relocation. Hit me up, and I'll talk to you about it, and that's also going to be part of our series later. We're going to have a whole session on relos. All right. So, you get your relo approved, your loved one's coming home. You're going up to the big house to pick them up, bring them home, right? Joliet, right? Getting the band back together, right? Right. All right, it's time to get the band back together. So, you're picking them up, and you're bringing them home. What's this going to be like? What's going to happen? I need a drink here. I get dehydrated easy. This is really good stuff, actually. This pineapple strawberry Bellevue. I kind of like it just because I'm homesick for Quebec, so I love anything with a little bit of French on it. I ain't going to be there for a minute. I'm a citizen of Canada, so I get to go back one day eventually, but it's going to be a minute, like I said. Anyway. What's it like when they get home? Okay, it's different for everyone. That's it. It sounds like a cop-out of an answer, but it's also a very real answer. Some people are jacked. They want to come home. They want to have a whole party. They want the whole crew there. They want the whole family. They want grandma dancing. They want, like, their aunts and uncles there. They want all the kids. They want to see all the grandkids and everything. They want all their friends over, everybody. They want to have a big old party. Other people are like, no, I don't want to party. I don't want anybody to ever even talk to me again about the fact that I was there. This is embarrassing and mortifying. And both those positions are equally valid, I mean, going to prison is a real head trip. And sometimes it doesn't even matter how long you're gone, okay? I know people who were gone like 6-7 months, and it really changed them inside, It turned them from being a very bubbly, outgoing person to being really withdrawn, isolated. They were really scared of people. Didn't really want to associate with people anymore. They were afraid that everybody was looking at them. I know other people who got out after 20 years and they were like, I want a Popeye's chicken sandwich. Hook me up, right? And for real, like, we used to watch the commercials in the TV room when I was locked up, and I'd be like, oh, shit, that looks good. I need to get me some of that. Yeah. I actually did get one when I got out, although not the night I got out. The night I got out, I got me some sushi and some San Pellegrino. Much love to my rescuers. Thank you. Anyway, that was what was lit for me. So they may want a lot of different things. They may be really unsure what to do with themselves. They may be like wandering around the house and really confused about the fact that they have all this freedom. Little things like taking a shower without your shower shoes on. It's pretty cool. Getting to watch TV whenever you want. Getting to eat whatever you want. Whenever you want. Just like ordering some to be delivered. These are just like little treasures. And those are just the physical niceties of it. Being able to hug your loved ones, smell your kid's hair. Oh, it's so nice. I can feel the way my 9-year-old's hair tickles my nose right now. And I haven't even seen him yet because he's still in Canada thanks to COVID. But they're coming as soon as that border's open. And I can't wait. And when I see them on that video screen every day that I can see them on now that I'm out, I can just feel their skin and I can feel the way their hugs feel. And it's the best thing. Getting to hear my daughter sing again. Oh, this is such a trip. It's the best thing ever. Okay? So there's that. Those are the physical aspects of it. But then there's the emotional aspects of having a conversation with somebody, being able to be a part of family decisions again. Making a grocery list together. That's something new. Washing the family car. Helping rototill the earth for the garden in your backyard. Seeing that the house needs painting. Little things like this. Being a part of your family life again. Finding out that Aunt Frida is sick and in the hospital. Figuring out who's going to watch the kids while Mom goes and visits Aunt Frida. Figuring out if I can watch, Aunt Frida in the hospital while someone else watches my kids. Stuff like that. These are important things. Getting used to being a real part of family decisions again. That's pretty cool. That's what's up. Then there are the paperwork things. Okay? I can't believe I've gotten 27 minutes into this now, and this is what I want to tell you about. Okay? So ideally, before you even leave prison, the inmate, your loved one, or you if you're watching this, again, brothers and sisters, okay? Get that birth certificate, driver's license, or state ID card, and social security card. Leaving prison with as many of these items as possible in your back pocket sets you up at least a few steps ahead, all right? Because getting these is a pain. Ideally, you still have them, okay? For those of you who don't, and there are many of us, try to leave with as many of them as possible. If you are still in prison, or if your loved one is still in prison, ask them to ask their case manager to help them collect these items. Some case managers are going to be like, yeah, cool, here's paperwork right now, here you go, got you. Here. Okay, that's pretty cool. The case manager may not be helpful with that. In which case, I'm going to show you how to get that form and get it down to them. That's another thing where you can write me about that at the link below. And I will show you how to do that for your particular area. All right? Because it's one of those things kind of vary state by state. Birth certificates are a pretty cool thing in that if you are a spouse, a parent, a child of somebody who happens to be locked up, you can almost always get their birth certificate for them. And sometimes you don't even have to be that closely related. Sometimes you can just be doing it as a favor for that person or whatever. Birth certificates are one of those things where, just depending on the state, are relatively easy to access. And again, if you hit me up below, if you need any help, I will help you find the info for the particular state for which this person is born in order to get that birth certificate. Now, for some reason that I do not understand, all right, getting a state ID card or driver's license, dang, I'm telling you all, it is up there with getting a freaking passport these days. It is a straight up bitch. I ain't even gonna lie, okay? Again, I told you that I got out December 2020. Okay, today is May 22nd, 2021. I now have a Connecticut state ID card. I do not have my driver's license yet, even though I have a driver's license in Nebraska that I should be able to transfer here. And again, for God's sakes, it's 2021. They should just be able to look me up on a computer and see, oh, hey, Wendy's got a driver's license. Right on. Print. And shoot me out a new one, right? You would think, how come the cops, whenever they pull me over, if I say, like, hey, I've got a driver's license, they click it into their little cop machine they're right on the side of the road, they can see I've got a driver's license. But the DMV can't? The fuck out of here. They are lazy mofos. Well, their system is, not them individual workers. I would never want to work there. Be up there with working at freaking McDonald's and having to deal with people who don't want to wear a mask. Fuck out of here. That job would suck. I ain't even gonna lie. And I've been a total Karen at the DMV before. Justifiably. But I've done it. Okay, hold on. Alright. So, when you get the driver's license, if you're getting it in the state where you already have one, if you're not transferring it from another state, this is somewhat easier. Okay? Pretty much every state has the 6 points of ID, real ID now, where you're going to need the aforementioned Social Security card, birth certificate, and driver's license or state ID card. Okay. If you have a passport, that can suffice in place of that also, but it has to be some sort of picture ID. Here's the thing though. If you don't have one of those, it's a problem to set it all up. If you don't have the physical ID from another place, you're going to have to start from the beginning. And if you're a woman whose name, okay, men have this problem too sometimes, but women have it more often than men. If you're a woman and your name does not match the name on your birth certificate, oh honey, you best get yourself your documentation for your marriage or your divorce, whatever that shows the trail of how you got to that name. They don't really care for some reason that your Social Security card matches your name, your new name or whatever, and that Social Security has acknowledged that your name has changed, but nope, they got to see it themselves too. So you're going to want every single thing they have. You're also going to need at least 2 pieces of U.S. postal mail that comes there. Don't think that you can use something from FedEx or Walmart or whatever. They want to see the postmark that shows the date on it, all right? And it's got to be from different places. You can't just bring 2 separate bank statements from April and May. You got to bring the bank statement, some from social services, whatever, all right? You're going to need a lot of help with that. Again, hit me up for your individual state. I will teach you where to go, what you need to bring, and how you need to get the documentation in order to get it. I got you. Okay? So, you're going to need all that documentation to establish your identity and who you are. A lot of the halfway houses won't even let you go applying for jobs and stuff without all this documentation, because their rationale is, well, how are you going to cash your checks or deposit your checks in a bank account if you ain't even got ID for all this? Which is really silly, because you can actually set up PayPal, Chime, and a host of other online financial services without an actual ID, although it helps immeasurably if you have one, and I recommend it. Because if they see too much floating in and out of there and you ain't got an ID, they will lock your shit until they do verify your ID. So that's a stopgap measure for a very limited amount of time. You don't want to be doing that for very long. Alright. So, get all of your ID established. That's the very first thing that you want to do. The next thing that you want to do is get yourself medically together. Now, you might have health insurance through your spouse when you get out. If you do, good for you. You are a very lucky human being. Super proud of you, super happy for you. That's great. Just make an appointment with one of your network care providers, get yourself a full physical, and get those needs addressed. Because as anybody who's been to prison knows, and anybody who's worked in a prison knows, our health needs are not addressed to their optimal ability. This is a surprise to the average American taxpayer, but it's true. Most American taxpayers think that prisons have absolutely fabulous health care and that it's a way to give, top quality care. Okay, I'm busting that myth right open like a watermelon thrown against the cement, okay? This is not the case in any way, shape, or form. What they do give you is bare minimum medical care, and honestly, not even that. It's not because they hate us. It's not because they want us to die. It's not because they're trying to kill us. It's because they are overworked. They are understaffed. And this is a giant bloated bureaucracy. A giant bloated bureaucracy that is held to a standard of spending the absolute minimum amount of money with the minimum amount of staff and the minimum amount of time to get the maximum amount of people taken care of. This is a recipe for doing absolute minimal work that can absolutely possibly be gotten away with, okay? And don't think that, like, the healthcare providers are really happy about having to basically perform meatball medicine either. They don't enjoy it. They don't feel proud of themselves. It's a lot of strain for them to be under as well. It's not a good thing. Even in the federal medical facilities, like Carswell is the one for women. There's one in Massachusetts for men. I believe it's Devon's. There's another one in Rochester for men. I think there's a couple other for men in other places, but I can't remember them right now. But even in those facilities, the care, getting it in a timely manner, suited to your personal needs, this is really, it's not something that you should count on, okay? When I was arrested, I'm going to give you an example. When I was arrested in the classic movie scene style where the police come and raided my house. They tossed everything from stem to stern, dragged me out of bed, put me on my front lawn in cuffs, took me away. I never saw my house again, that sort of thing. When they tossed the house, my prosthetic eye was lost. Like many people who have a prosthetic eye. It's this one, in case you're wondering. That's my fake one. I was born with an eye disorder, so my eye doesn't look right and doesn't fill out right, so I've worn prosthetic eyes since I was like 13 years old. Like most people with a prosthetic eye, I take my eye out every night like a contact lens because the tissues, muscles, and mucous membranes there are still alive. And if I wear my prosthetic eye all night, guess what happens to it? Same thing that happens to you when you wear your contact lenses all night and you woke up in the morning going, oh God, I'm gonna die. Yeah, no, it's not a good thing. So I would take out my eye every night, and it's very small, right? Even when it's in its case, it's a teeny tiny little case sitting on my dresser. They threw shit every place and everywhere. It got lost, all right? They're supposed to replace it. Well, they certainly weren't going to replace it during the year and a bit that I was in county. That wasn't happening. That's not part of their job. So I got to the federal prison system. I got to the federal prison, my designated prison in Danbury, in February of 2019. In June, I was taken to the ophthalmologist, and I was given a prescription for a prosthetic eye and referred to an ocularist in Wallingford, Connecticut, where I was supposed to have an eye made. That was June 2019. I was released in December of 2020, so a year and a half later, and I still didn't have my fucking eye. All right? So it's something that simple to take me out for a one-day freaking trip. And they couldn't figure it out, okay? So something that simple, but also necessary, was difficult. I knew people who had, like, torn rotator cuffs and surgeries on their shoulders for that kind of thing. Well, that's great, except for then, first of all, it would take them a year, 2 years to get it. Take a year, 2 years to get an MRI. And then when they'd have these surgeries, they'd come back to the camp and they weren't given any physical therapy. Like the doctors and nurses that are at the prisons, for the most part, they're just dispensing pills every day and checking you out. Like if, you gash your arm open on a knife when you're at work in the construction shop or the kitchen, they're not there to like sit there and be like, and lift, rotate back, rotate forward. Yeah, no, Get the fuck out of here. That ain't happening. The only kind of therapy we were getting is because, we were lucky enough to have some occupational therapists and physician's assistants who happened to be in prison with us as fellow inmates, okay? And we got more help from them than we did the medical. Not because the medical hated us, not because they were sitting there playing Pokemon Go in their, break room or whatever, but because they were overworked and understaffed. That's just the reality of it. One-on-one, I maybe, and the whole time I was locked up, maybe enough officers to fill a hand that were downright, I hate all you people, fuck all y'all, and sadists toward us. The overwhelming majority of them were regular people just like us who hated working there as much as we hated living there. Because if you think living under the BOP's thumb is fun, working under their thumb ain't no fun either. Okay? They're not any better bosses than they are parents. Okay? And it sucks. It's just a suck system all around for everyone, for the inmates, for the workers, for the family, for everybody. It sucks. All right. So, it's a whole myth that there's good medical care in prison. A whole myth. So you need to get yourself checked out. You need to get your medication stabilized. You need to get stuff taken care of that you were not able to get taken care of while you were in prison. Get that under control. Get that set up. Get yourself to the dentist as well. Okay? Get these things in order. These are things you're going to want to do. Okay? Now, in order to get some of this coming out, especially if you're an alone person or if you're not coming home to a family, okay, you're going to want to get set up with your local Medicaid. You need to do this. All right? And again, hit me up below and I'll find the information to help you out to sign up for your individual state. I've helped people sign up for New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and in Massachusetts. I can help you too. I'm sure they have it in other places just as well. And if there's anything I'm good at, it's at finding out how to get shit done. That's what I specialize in because I am the concierge. All right. So get yourself signed up for Medicaid. And get yourself signed up for food stamps, all right? Because that will at least get something taken care of in your budget so that you can save your money for the stuff you're going to need it for that you can't get somebody else to pay for. Like, for example, rent, clothing, etc. Some of you who are returning citizens are going to be qualifying for Social Security and SSDI, okay? You need to get signed up for that as well if you can. Now, I can help you and point you to this. But the easiest way for you to do this is actually for you to contact your local state reentry organization. Some of these reentry organizations don't have the resources, let me say that politely, as much as some of the other ones do. Some of them are absolute rock stars at helping you get this kind of stuff together. If any reentry organization is trying to charge you for this, asking you to be a client of theirs, telling you they're going to assist you and through this for you to pay them a fee. I'm not trying to bag on somebody else's business, but don't be falling for that. There are plenty of volunteer organizations that will help you. There are plenty of donation organizations that will help you. I will help you, okay? And, I ask, people to throw me, money here and there, in my tip jar through Ko-fi, coffee, whatever the hell it's called. I don't know, Ko-fi, all right? But I would never dream of withholding information from somebody because they hadn't put any money in my tip jar. That's not how I roll. That's not what I do. My goal is to get people who have money to give me money so that I can help the people who don't, all right? That's how it should roll. When I have money in my bank account, I throw it at people who don't have it because I know what it's like to be there and not have it. So I don't withhold information from people. That's a messed up way to do things, I think. Okay, so get hooked up with your local state reentry organization. That's what you need to do, and they're going to help you with all of these things as well. So these are your first steps. Also, in some of your states, okay, if you're home and you're taking care of children that are at home due to COVID, okay, because the shorties are at home right now, right? Some of them. if you're staying home and you're on home confinement, you're taking care of the shorties because of COVID, so, your spouse can go out and earn a living, all right? You can get unemployment for that in some states, all right? Again, this may not be true in your state. It may no longer be true in your state, but there are a few states where this is still going on. You want to be a part of that life, again, hit me up, and I will show you how to do it, okay? So there you go. I will get this information for you. This is how this works. So these are the first steps that you want to do when you get out, all right? Again, we're going to get the ID, birth certificate, social security card, driver's license, or state ID card. These are critical, all right? When you get Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, whatever that is, and food stamps, and unemployment, all right? Okay, so we're at that point now, all right? You also want to get a bank account set up, all right? There are a lot of free online services that you can get. Chime, super easy, not a problem, no fees. That's what's up. Some of you may want to rebuild your credit. There are several secured credit card companies that you can get one through to start rebuilding that again. There's Extra, Self. I think there's one called Boost. Credit Karma has something going on. I don't know. You may, but definitely look into those, but be very careful because some of them charge fees and it can end up being a problematic situation where you end up with a bunch of fees that you can't pay, and then it makes the problem even worse. So just be careful when you're looking at that. Talk to people who are smart with money. There's a whole group of people out there that can help you reestablish credit as well. I'm not the money girl, all right? I know how to do cryptocurrency, but I don't know how to do money, finances, personal accounting. Yeah, no, that's not my specialty. I'm good at documentation bureaucracy. All right, so now you're at that point. Once you get that situated and get your housing established, look into sober living houses if you need transitional housing. I prefer Oxford houses because they don't have an agency running you and they don't have what could be questionable management going on. I'm sorry, but this is fucked up here. In New Haven, I know of 3 or 4 houses that are run by a drunk and using case manager. So you got somebody who's smoking weed, drinking beer, and sitting there breathalyzing other people and trying to hold them accountable for their sobriety. The fuck out of here. Nobody wants to listen to that, right? Right. No, that doesn't work. So that just puts people in a rebellious mood. So, no, that doesn't work very well. But if you're in an Oxford house, all of you, some of them have 6 people in a house. Some people have 8 or 9. Okay, the one I live in has 9. We all are just grown-ups living our adult lives and holding each other accountable for our sobriety, And that works really well. That's how I prefer to do things, but others are at different places. Some of these places don't allow you to use medicated assisted treatment, such as methadone, Suboxone, or Vivitrol, or various others. I personally think that sucks, but again, my opinion doesn't matter on this. There are some houses that do allow this. There are some houses that just don't. They have their reasons, whatever, so make sure that you get hooked up with the right kind of house for you, for your medication, or lack thereof, and your situation. Because I will say this, part of the reason that some houses don't allow those kind of medications is that it's really easy to abuse those medications sometimes. Not Vivitrol and naltrexone so much, because that's not mood altering at all, and so I really don't understand why anybody bans that, but whatever. That's a whole other video. So if you get into with people who are like that, you'll see this. They'll go and pick up, their methadone for the week or whatever, and they'll take twice the daily dose and just knock themselves out for the day. And it's kind of gross being around people like that. It doesn't feel comfortable if you're really working a sobriety program and, you're really dedicated to staying sober and putting your life together. Just watching somebody act the same way on fucking methadone that they did when they were still slamming junk. That's not work. It's not a good vibe. It's really triggery for a lot of people. So just watch where you're at. But on the other hand, some people are not ready or just never will be ready and don't want to do sobriety without medicated assisted therapy. And you have the right to live in a sober living house and do your recovery the way you want to do it too, okay? So there are those kind of houses out there, and they will help you with that. So get into that. All right. So that's where you're going now. You've got your housing established, etc. Then you're going to need to get yourself a job. This is the part that a lot of people dread, and not without reason. If you live in some of the states where they've banned the box, where they've said that they can't ask you about your history until it's time to offer you a job, where they can't then rescind the offer once they find out you have a conviction, you are light years ahead of everyone else and very lucky. For those of us who are not in such states, take your time, be careful, be reasonable, go to meetings, network with your other people, tell everybody that you are looking for work, and do not be picky. This is one area where men actually have an advantage over the women. Many of the traditionally men occupational fields, such as construction and various trades, are much more receptive to having felony convictions on a record than a lot of, let's say, female-dominated industries such as nursing, teaching, cleaning, housekeeping, clerical work. Yeah. A lot of these industries that tend to be dominated by women are also very picky about felony convictions. So you've got to be careful with that as well. We're going to have a whole segment on getting the job. And now a final thing that I'm going to touch on for the when you first get home bit is birth control. All right? Now, I'm speaking to both men and women about this, but I'm primarily speaking to the women, okay? Men, I'm pretty sure y'all know that you need to be wrapping it and taking care of your shit because you don't want to get yourself in some kind of family situation right when you first get out of prison. This is not going to be a good look for you. It's going to get you tied down. You're going to get child support payments going on again. You know, you're going to have, you know, a woman in your life with demands and obligations. That's going to put a lot of pressure on you that you don't need when you're trying to reestablish your life. So wrap your junk. Be careful. You do not want to get involved in that sort of a situation right away. Okay, ladies. Likewise. Okay, if you're coming home to your husband and he's got a good job and he's been waiting for you and y'all are in love and you have the white picket fence and you've been waiting all these months to come home and make a baby, good for you. I'm super happy for you. You are also extremely lucky and you know it. So this may not apply to you. For my sisters who are getting out and your guy done left you, or maybe he's locked up for another 10 years, or maybe you just don't have a man in your life or whatever, and you just got out. I mean, of course, we're all human. We want to be touched. We miss that sort of activity. Of course. This is part of being an adult. I'm not going to lie about it. Whatever. But you got to take care of yourself. Because I'm going to tell you right now, finding transitional housing, sober housing that allows for kids, that's a bitch. That's up there with finding a job. That is difficult. You do not have the time, skills, or resources right now for a baby. You probably ain't got time, skills, or resources for the kids that you got, to be honest. It's hard, okay? The last thing you need is to get yourself in a family way where you can't work properly, you're not going to have employment built up, etc. So get yourself to your local Planned Parenthood, your local, clinic, the local health department, and get yourself on some quality birth control. The options have gotten a lot better these days. They have them in all kinds of hormonal levels. They have all kinds of non-hormonal options as well. And for those of you that are north of 40 like me and know that you're done and not about that life anymore whatsoever and have no interest in ever procreating yourself again, there are ways to make sure that that doesn't ever happen again as well, okay? And do not let cost worry you. There are ways to get it taken care of by cost as well, all right? So, if you need any help for finding resources in your area for birth control or for sterilization measures, hit me up. I can find them for you if you can't find them yourself, and I'm more than happy to do so, okay? But make sure you get yourself on some, and for the love of God, don't trust him to pull out, okay? That didn't work when we were teenagers. It's not going to work now. I know. But it's not going to work, all right? You can order condoms off of Amazon. You can have them at your disposal all the time. You can have it, but you cannot be messing with having no baby right now. That is not going to work for you. If you do find yourself in a family way and you realize that you do not want to continue with the pregnancy, I can also find you places where you can have an abortion. The earlier the better. You can even get a medical one where you just take some pills and it's done. I'm not talking about the morning after pill. That's a whole other subject. There are ways that you can get a medical abortion as well, where you just take some medication and it induces a miscarriage, all right? It's come a long way since we were little girls. It's a lot better now, okay? But you do not need to be messing with a baby right this second unless, you've got it all set up. If you're trying to restart your life on a re-entry kick, this is not what you want. Don't be going with that. There's also ways that you can put your child up for an adoption placement if you want. And I can help you find those too if you need them. Again, just hit me up. I'm about helping people find what they want and what they need to help them live their most successful life. I don't judge what you want to do. That's not my business. My business is helping you find the answers to help you do what you want to do. That's how this works. All right? All right. So, we've got ID, housing, jobs, birth control, food stamps, social security programs, and stuff like that. These are the things that we're looking at from when we first come home. And that's a mouthful to take all apart, all right? So, I'm going to be detailing it out for you below. We're going to have it all ready for you. And you can write me if you need any help finding information specific to your place and your area. I wish you a very successful reentry, and I hope you keep watching Wendy the Concierge, because next time I'm going to teach you about, let's see here, what are we going to do next time? Next time, I'm going to talk to you about job seeking. We're going to have a whole session on just job seeking, all right? All right. So that's how we're going to do it. And also, one other thing, I spaced this, okay? Because I'm not a person who does medicated assisted therapy myself, but I know there are a lot of people who do. All right. If you're getting ready to leave prison, okay, and you want to either continue the medicated assisted therapy you are on, because some of them do offer methadone, Suboxone, Vivitrol, etc., talk to your medical people there about getting hooked up with it outside. If they don't give you a direct card, call this place in this city to get, your next dose once you get out, again, hit your girl up and I will help you find the place, all right? So either get it hooked up so that you're on it. Some places will start giving you Vivitrol right when you get out, when you're starting to get out, so that you become acclimated to it, because that way you're on it already when you get out and you have a little time, because that transitional period when you're doing re-entry is a prime time for relapse. I cannot tell you how many many girls it broke my heart to see. They would be nice and sober for 2-3 years in prison, living their best life, completed a treatment program. They look great. They're healthy. They're working out in the gym every day. They look fantastic. And then they get out, and 2 weeks later, they're on some dude's junk and snorting meth again. No! This is bad luck, ladies. This is not what we want to be doing with ourselves. No. Because let me tell you, those halfway houses and those probation officers, they're going to be piss testing you. And you're not going to be getting away with it. Okay? It's not going to happen. You're going to get caught again. It's going to land you straight freaking back in prison. You're not going to get away with it. So you can't. That's not something that can be a part of your post-prison life. No. Alright? So you've got to get that hooked up and stay off of it with medication if that's how you want to go. Or 12-step meetings if that's how you want to go. Or smart recovery, SOS. A whole myriad of options are available for you. And I will help you find them if you need help finding them. Thank you. And see you next time for employment opportunities. Bye for now. From Wendy the Concierge.